Do you think there was ever a time when pussy didn't run the world?
No, no. Women's always been the neck of the foundation. The men is just the head. We draw shit.
Wouldn't that mean women always had power?
Yes. But men cannot accept women having power, so we just have to stand in the back and pretend that we don't have power and use a reverse psychology and just like pretend that we don't, because they like to say they right, so we just like, all right, and give you the idea, and then you just say, yeah, it's your idea. Okay.
So why are women complaining about past oppression if they always had pussy power?
They want equal rights, and that's bullshit.
Personally, I just think they kind of like are backwards in their reasoning on most things. You know what I mean? It's they want to feel a certain amount of power, and that's the only thing that they can kind of reach to say that they have this power over males. So
women have not always had power like this woman said they did. This overinflated sense of self-importance that so many women have today is really due to feminist brainwashing in media. Women have not been collectively standing back and allowing men to think they're really in charge. That is ridiculous. It's true that women's sexuality has always been a commodity that men have sought after and fought over, but it really just goes to show you how little this woman understands the male mind, how limited her conception is of the way men think, to assume that men don't have higher goals that aren't necessarily related to women. The only reason she thinks this way is because we have this over-sexualized, easily distracted society. This is really why women collectively were given the rights and freedoms that they do have, because they are more easily distracted than men are. They're more liable to just missing the plot and believing some nonsense, and because collectively they can use their sexuality to weaken and distract men.
How does each gender approach seduction?
Oh, that's a good one too. Let's see, a lot of ladies will show off, boobs, ass, things like that. Men in their ways, they talk more, like their words kind of get ladies in that way more.
Women are more into like how they look, their body, their looks, physical. It's very important nowadays. And when it comes to a man, it's more like kind of being the macho man, like strong, protective, and in a way where like they own it.
Feminists, progressives, and liberals will never be able to overcome this reality of human behavior. Women show off their bodies to attract male attention, to attract male suitors, to get guys to come after them and pursue them. If you want true equality, then now it should be 50-50. These rules shouldn't apply anymore. It shouldn't be the case that women still behave this way. But you can't actually re-engineer human behavior on that level, which is why feminism is unstable and harmful. It's pathological. Women prefer confident, dominant men. And what does that imply? What does dominance imply? Hierarchy. Because there is another person being dominated.
Why are men expected to initiate just about everything leading up to a date or relationship?
Probably societal norms. I feel like it's getting better though, but
probably stereotypes. Yeah, modern dating standards, I guess.
Why can't there be more give and take?
I think there is once you're like in the relationship, but I feel like it's hard in today's day and age because everyone's on social media, so I feel like it's easier to just like text.
I mean, it's definitely changed. Like if you think back then, a lot of the times like it was 100% guys are always going for it. And now I feel like, especially with dating apps and stuff, like I find myself reaching out to some of the guys I matched with first. But like I don't know, it's just like I think it's just like ingrained into you and you're like.
Right here you can see this radical social constructivism that like your average layperson has adopted. And that is to say that they think everything's just like norms. It's just values. It's just these silly conventions and traditions that don't mean anything and don't correspond to like inherent qualities, inherent average differences in groups of people, in this case men and women, even though these patterns are present in every culture. You should really begin to consider that it's a little bit more than societal norms when there isn't a single people group on the face of the earth or in history where men haven't been expected to approach and pursue women. These people don't believe in human nature. They don't believe that there are inherent qualities in humans that make people behave the way they do. They think it's all just socialization. And the only reason the woman in the second part of that video is like, oh, I reach out to guys sometimes, is because she's reaching out to guys she thinks are top tier on some dating app. Because a woman's beauty is very important, and the three main qualities of being an attractive partner as a woman are literally just be physically attractive, be sexually available, and don't have a long history. Don't be the town bike. And it's really telling that women today aren't even able to master those three things. They don't even know what men want. They're that clueless. And this is also why they really can't handle rejection either, because it is a repudiation of those three qualities. It's basically telling a woman that because men are essentially expected to just say yes if a woman were to proposition them. You know, if a woman were to walk up to you on the street and say, hey, just you want no strings attached sex, like it's expected that a man would say yes. And as a man to just say no would basically be like calling a woman an incel. It'd be like saying she's a sexual failure, and that is really painful to women. So women are only willing to reach out first when they think that the man is not only a prize that they want, but they also think it's a sure thing. As a man, it's typically a sign that a woman has a very high opinion of you if she's willing to make the first move or pursue you.
Have you ever empathized or thought about how it feels to be a man and have the pressure of pursuing women and risking rejection?
Yes, women are empathists. Empathists, whatever the right word is. Women have a bigger heart, and I think we care about men's feelings much more than men care about women's feelings. And that is why women tend to date shitty men.
Yeah, I always think about that. I'm always like, dang, if I was a man, I would never go to people.
Women face rejection every single day in the workplace. They get ridiculed for jobs if they're not wearing enough makeup or if they are wearing too much makeup. There are so many other things, and I think we need to just understand that everybody goes through their own levels of privilege and their own levels of discrimination too.
And there you have it. One woman, the middle woman between the first and the last woman, admits she'd basically be a shut-in / incel if she were a man. She would never go up to people. She would never interact. She'd just be a beta. If she were saddled with the social expectations men have to deal with every day. The first woman just answers with a non sequitur. She goes, yes, I have thought about it, and then talks about how women are more empathic than men are, and how men are all callous and uncaring, and she's really talking about her own history of failed relationships, choosing the wrong partner who she doesn't feel catered to her needs in some way. And the last woman just talks about her own neuroses about her appearance. Women judge other women more harshly than men judge women on their appearances. Only one of these three women actually properly answered the question and demonstrated that she could sort of empathize or sympathize with men. And really that was just to say that, man, I'm glad I'm not a man because I don't have to deal with that problem. It is a complete and total lie that women are more empathic than men are. Your average woman can't even wrap her head around the way men think or explain why men act the way they do.
Why do the majority of young women happen to be left-leaning, woke liberals?
Because they've been influenced by modern-day misandry, feminism.
Because they've been indoctrinated in college and they need to look at their constitutional rights and figure out God. They need to get good with God.
They feel more like they're having more control over their body, over their sexuality, without having to worry about what the religious side is going to say, what the Bible's going to say, what the pro-choice or the pro-life people are going to say. The left-leaning woke liberals are like, whatever, you're in charge of your own body, you're in charge of your own life, and I think that's important.
Democrats play on young women. Democrats make more money on minorities, which are women, young people, because statistically, young people aren't making the money. Young people aren't the ones making the money, so young people are the ones benefiting from the government and a socialist society, which is what Democrats want.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I agree with that conservative lesbian. The political left in this country appeals to women's collective interests, or really women's collective short-term interests. Because condoms are fundamentally unnatural, women always have this anxiety going into sexual situations with men that they may be choosing the wrong man. And that because they may be making the wrong decision, they could potentially be saddled with pregnancy, which is why they're so pro-abortion, and why you see Democrats and people on the political left, whenever they're making arguments about why you should be pro-abortion, they always choose these extreme fringe cases of, say, what if a woman is assaulted and then gets pregnant? What if it's against her will? That's like not even 1% of pregnancies. But this argument appeals to young women's fears, and that's how they're locked in as this core left-wing constituency.
Who is more attractive, liberal or conservative men, and why?
Unfortunately, I would say conservative.
I would say conservative as well.
Conservative, definitely.
Liberal, because I like a man who supports women and supports a lot of things that conservative men just don't.
And I like a manly man, and I like the blue-collared, hard-working man.
I would say that conservative men tend to adopt the traditional idea of what a man is. So they're strong and they're,
Liberal men. They usually have a more open mind, I think.
And I think they actually care about people more. I think a lot of Republicans care about money. And liberal men are definitely more progressive and open-minded and just better in general, in my opinion.
The only women who said liberal men are more attractive are the ones who are just truly ideologically committed. The first woman even admits, sheepishly, reluctantly, conservative men are more attractive. That's what they all feel deep down. They all want to feel safe and protected. But some of them who are purists, who have drunk the Kool-Aid, just can't admit that to themselves. Women's preferences are inherently anti-egalitarian. They don't want some simp. They don't want some loser. They don't want some beta. They don't want some chump. They want a strong, confident man who can protect them and will also buy them nice things, who will take care of them and buy them nice things, will provide for them materially. So really, honestly, deep down, they don't want to be treated as equals. They don't want 50-50. They're not happy working the hours that they currently do, being saddled with the responsibilities that men are saddled with. But unfortunately, they're also too proud to accept, too brainwashed to accept, that with less responsibility comes less authority and decision-making power. They wanted to have their cake and eat it too, even though they'll be forced to admit to you that they're not actually attracted to liberal men. They're given all this political power and authority, and what do they do with it? They re-engineer social relations, and then they're not even satisfied with the outcome. Seems like we should have just kept women traditional women and men traditional men, instead of this crossing wires and social experimentation.
What's the lowest amount of money a man should spend on a wedding ring for you guys?
500 grand, okay? I don't care if you're broke as take your mama's life savings, take your life savings, take your grandma's life savings, and get me a rock.
There is no price limit. Whatever the I pick out, you're buying.
What's the wedding ring? What's your price?
For you?
No, for me, yeah.
For you?
Why look at me like that?
Like $1,000.
Bye.
These women are clearly faded, and I guess you could say they're exaggerating, overacting because they're drunk, or you could say that they're being more honest than they would be when they're sober. Either way, this still belies women's overinflated sense of self-importance. $500,000 for a ring? Come on. Even if you're drunk while you're saying that, you gotta think that you're something special, which really you're not. You're not that special as a person. Why? Why do women think this way? It's because the media and academia, really, at the behest of the media, regularly tells them that they're special, they're important, they can do no wrong. It regularly affirms them. It regularly tells them they are some sort of magical prize that men are unworthy of. They're above everything. The left will praise women for being women in a way that the right simply doesn't praise men for being men. Men are made in the image of God, not women. Men are made in the image of God in a way that women simply aren't. Men can represent God on earth through their construction, their valor, their ingenuity, in a way that women simply can't. But men these days get no recognition for this.
You want to get your fucking ass off my fucking tire?
Excuse me?
Get the fuck off my truck now. These wheels cost more than your fucking life. Get down.
Serious right now?
Yeah, that's what I fucking thought. You wanna get your fucking...
And last but not least, don't stand on a man's tire. Don't stand on a man's tire. How hard is that to understand? Don't stand on a man's tire. Our tires were nice and safe and sturdy and had the right amount of air until these thoughts came along and decided that they wanted to stand on these tires on our big trucks for some sort of photo op, for some sort of picture, for them to put on the gram to get simps to thirst after. Now, of course, you can tell I'm being a little bit tongue-in-cheek here, but you would never, ever, ever catch men doing this on a woman's truck. And that really shows you the difference between men and women. This is not social norms that caused women to behave this way. Women behave this way because they're attention-seeking, because they want men's approval. Never forget that. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. Please share it. That's the single most important thing you can do if you like this video and you support my message, to share it to get more people to see it. And Red Channels will catch you in the next one.